podcast.
Hello and welcome to another podcast. I'm sorry. I wasn't planning on laughing, but I think it's a trademark with the two of us. So I have my beautiful friend Kristin Spencer, who's not only a ghostwriter, but she's a freaking genius. I said the word freaking, people, because that's the truth.
Oh.
And it's a pleasure to have you on a monthly basis. I'm stalking her like there is no tomorrow, guys. I love your stuff on LinkedIn. I'm watching them every day. I see your face. I see your glasses. I'm like, I love that girl. Seriously, you're awesome, my friend. So, hi, Kristin. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you for that wonderful and overwhelming introduction. I love it.
I know. And I don't drink coffee. I maybe should start to drink coffee.
I know. I actually did a live sprint on LinkedIn this morning at 4 a.m. And when I get up that early, I don't drink coffee. And people are like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I just need water that early. My inspiration keeps me awake.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. But we're going to jump into the subject. So first of all, it was a blast to be on your show last week. It was just awesome. So guys, you have to watch because she's a freaking, with a big F, capital F, genius. No. It's not a bad word. It's awesome. She's awesome because and if you have not seen it, check back on LinkedIn under her feeds because she talked to you, she interviewed you, she do her magic. And at the end, she finds you the beautiful sentence, the core message you can use for your business. She's awesome. She's fantastic. So I had such a blast laughing, giggling.
It was so fun. I told my husband, I was like, I think we laughed for like 30% of the entire interview, at least.
I think so too. But you know what? We probably brought laughter to people as well. So I'm sure.
That's right.
Nobody wrote any complaint. We're good.
But when you're having fun, it's fun for your listener, right?
Exactly. That's what we do here all of the time, even if we go through deep topics. However, during our talk, you said a couple of things that brought me to a stop. And I'm like, I cannot turn the table on you yet, but I'm doing it today.
That's right.
Two things you said. You have a top 10 list. You're allowing yourself to fail.
Yes, 10 things I'm willing to fail at.
They're willing to fail, or you could allow you to. You're willing or allowing you. For me, it's allowing you, but willing to fail. So these stop me on my track because I'm like, what? Oh, I don't have a bucket like that because if we wanted 10, I would do 100 right there. And if, hey, I can't like that. Good. But you need to explain to me. That would be me, okay? I came up with the list and it's right there on the list. Can't you see it? But I have to ask you, how did you come up with that list? And can we know what you added into your list? I'm very curious about it. How did you come up with that?
So I'm going to steal my friend Rosie's language from yesterday. And I interviewed two amazing women yesterday. I interviewed Selena Stone and Rosie Zelenkis. Hopefully I said that properly. But they were talking about perfectionism. And I don't know if you know this about me, Emma, but I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Sorry, can I help myself? You are a perfectionist, but you know what? To be honest, in a field of work you better to be.
You have to be very particular. Right? Yes. Like you can't be like, I don't care if there's typos in there because that's the whole business is precision, concision, and clarity. So I do have like those tendencies serve me well up until a certain point. And then they stop me from going after the things that I really want. So I thought, I have a confidence brand. I'm the confident nobody. If you go to confidentnobody.com, my face is there. And my first book, which was a big success, and I didn't even know it. I think I sold over 30,000 copies. it was called You Aren't Worthless. And it's about confidence, but with a Christian worldview, because that is who I am. And I work through different things through, with that lens, right? Not the lens of organized religion, I would say, but the lens of who Jesus is and what he did, and which is why I'm a pacifist. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, don't worry. I'm keeping notes. Just that would come back later on.
I was thinking, I'm like, what can I talk about that is something that I don't need expert help to understand? Because the truth is, I am a white cisgender woman. And that means that my experience is limited to that realm. And I had been talking about imposter syndrome a lot. And I heard one of my beautiful Black friends challenge me that if you don't understand how racism plays into imposter syndrome, can you really talk about it? And she wasn't trying to silence me or anything like that. But I had this thought that I want to create an opportunity for, Black women and brown women and all different sorts of women, right? I'm a plus size woman, to have space to talk about it. So I thought, okay, I'll invite them on to talk about it, but what can I talk about? What's something that is not shaped through my white privilege, which I believe is a very real thing. And I was like, oh, I know, failure. Especially as a woman in business, right? Because people assume we're going to fail before we say a word. Yeah. They think because you have ovaries, you're not as good at this as I am, which is so barbaric and backward, but it's still real. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to talk about this, I should probably be super specific, and I should probably take a look in the mirror and confront the things that I am afraid of. Because otherwise, if I don't give myself permission to fail in these things, I will never attempt them. And one of the things was my podcast, my business podcast. I told you, I did a whole nother podcast. I did over 100 episodes solo. I actually did the first 90 in 90 days. It was a challenge. Can I do a podcast episode every day for 90 days? Because I'm just like that. I just do it all fast. So
Sister,
I can learn.
You're extreme.
I am. It's true.
Yes, you are.
And people are like, I don't really think of you as polarizing. I'm like, that's hilarious because I think of myself as polarizing.
You see past a tornado? It's only Kristin. That's all.
Right. Like I told you, I was like, I wrote 5 books in 5 weeks to see if I could do it. Like, I just don't have a normal way of testing myself.
But that's awesome. It's good. Me, I would never. Well, I did a blog every day, so I've done it. Podcast, I started with 1, then I moved up to 3. Then it depends who I'm talking to. But generally, I try to keep to 3 a week. But there is some days it's more. But I don't know. It's Kristin right there. I love it.
So I can't do like anything halfway. So I made this list of 10 things. Yep. And some of the things on the list are like medium uncomfortableness. Some of the things on the list are like all the way, like I would never go bungee jumping because I have a injured back and an injured knee. So I would never do it. But it's like that level of anxiety for me.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing you, yes, you go through the extreme. You don't do things halfway. It's not half-baked, people. It's fully baked. I'm telling you. It's the extreme. Then you look at yourself like, oh boy, I'm sitting down here. I'm going to have a cocktail and go for it. I'm watching you. So, okay. So through those 10, have you, like you said, the podcast was one thing. So have you done the other, studied the others, or are you just circling around, look at the list and say, oh, I see you there. I'm not sure yet.
Well, you should know that, of course, I'm not going to do that. I started doing all 10 of them at the same time, of course, right? That's the reasonable thing to do, is to look at this insane list that scares me and to decide, all right, I'm going to start. But I think that was part of it for me. Like, I just have to start. I need to start taking baby steps.
Yep.
And you know, my husband was like, I don't believe you're going to let yourself fail. And I was like, no, but that's the whole point, is that I'm willing to fail finally. And he's like, okay, but when is the deadline for these giant failures? And I'm like, it's September 8th, because that's just the day I decided to start. I was like, give myself a year to try these different things. But you know, of course, I'm making progress in all 10 areas at the same time. I actually have failed the first one, the number one thing, which was to launch my book, The Parade of My Mistakes, because I got feedback and I realized it's too sad. So I decided to double down, and I'm going to do the most terrifying thing I have ever done, which is to write comedy.
Oh, you're going to be good at it.
It's so difficult, though, because when you're writing, you strip away all of the things that help you when you're on stage, right? You don't get the voice. You don't get the looks. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of this, but Lucille Ball used to sit in front of a mirror and practice her facial expressions. I read that she did that when I think I was like 25 years old, and I started doing it. So I can make a ton of different facial expressions, and I can get to laugh without even saying anything. And I was just so scared to try to do it in writing. And I was like, that's the only way this book is going to work, because I'm sure you know that trauma plus time equals comedy.
Yes, it has. It's hilarious at some point. Some stuff is still a little stingy, but there is some stuff is like, yeah, you need to add a little sense of humor into it. Yes.
So because I wanted to be encouraging, and all my friends who were reading it, they just kept saying these, like, I feel so bad for you. Someone said, I feel so bad for every character in this book. And I was like, oh, that's not what I want. Like, if it was just a cathartic laugh for me, that's fine. But that's not who I am as a writer. I never write things like that just to like digest them. I've already digested them, or I wouldn't be writing about it. First of all, that's how I work. Some people write to digest. I don't. I have to think for a long time, and then I write after it's digested. So I'm going to be turning that into a comedy. I have no plans of when I'm going to start doing that, because right after that happened, I decided I was going to live write a book on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So I just kind of replaced that on the list, but maybe it'll be 11 things by the time September comes around.
Maybe let's put it this way. You will be inspired, and you will have what you need, that little spark to do it. I think it's more on a back burner because you're not quite ready yet to pick it up, but I will not be surprised within the next less than 6 months, you're going to pick it up and write it up and turn it
And something else happened. I lost the most updated manuscript when I got a new computer. So that hasn't happened to me in years. And I lost probably 5,000 words, and I just had to take a break. I was like, I need a break.
Maybe the universe is telling you cannot have it right now. Maybe later on, but right now we're making it disappear for a reason.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, is like, before I would have beat myself up about it. And now I'm just like, I'm open to waiting, right? When the time is right, it will happen. And I had this imaginary date in my head that I wanted to publish it before the 20th reunion for my high school, because it's about my high school a lot. And that just happened. So now I don't have that burden. Like, there's no way I was going to finish it. And I have that freedom to come back to it when I'm ready.
Exactly. I love that. Plus, you maybe needed to get this out of your system to be able to create something better. That happens to me with one podcast, and I purposely deleted. After I listened to it, I'm like, oh, this is not good here. So I hit the delete button. I say, okay, let's redo it. And it was better second time around, which I never do, but that happened once.
Yeah, and sometimes it does happen. And I've definitely had that happen with fiction books, but not normally nonfiction. So it was kind of, a shock. And people keep asking me, when's the book coming out? I'm like, oh, now I don't know. Because everyone is really excited for it. But I knew that the minute they started reading it, that excitement would turn into sadness because that's what kept happening. So I was like, let's make some adjustments.
We want to light up the mood, not to sunk the mood.
Right. It has to be hopeful, right? Mm-hmm. You can survive anything. That's the point.
Oh, absolutely. It's like when we talk about trials and tribulation, it's like when I talk about some of the horrifying that happened to me, I'm like, I don't want pity. It's just, I'm laughing right now. I'm like, yeah, that happened to me. Not that funny at that time, but I don't want pity. It's just the challenges. It's how, things happen, and that's all. Yeah. You don't want to beg. You can cry if you want to cry, but there's no need for pity here or sympathy. It's like, that's life. Everybody goes through challenges.
Right. It's what you do. Mm-hmm. And also like giving myself permission, because I was just like a jerk face is the polite way of saying it as a teenager, because I had no healthy adult shaping anything in my life. Mm-hmm. And so this book was kind of like an exercise in giving myself permission to forgive past Kristin, who didn't know what she was doing. And like some of my friends, they're like, I can't stand this anymore. When they're reading, they're like, she's making another mistake. And I'm like, it's in the title of the book, first of all, The Parade of My Mistakes. It's there.
You're listing the mistake. You're not going to list the wins. You're listing the mistake, what happened, which is a good thing, because what you're going to do later on with that book, when you're going to redo it, then it will guide people, because mistakes are life lessons as well. That's why I love when I talk on my podcast, I want to know mistakes we're making as business owners as well.
Right.
It's not all roses and bonbon, people. Come on. It's not like a TV show where everything is hunky-dory. We got a little bit of drama here just to make it happening, because otherwise we get bored. But everything is hunky-dory. It's a Hallmark TV here. No, reality is we have to face our challenges. So for me, I rather highlight the challenges and show the outcome and how we overcome it, which to me is more inspiring than just say, they live happily ever after. Well, good for them, but that's boring. So where are the challenges here? You know what I mean? It's like somebody who said to me, I don't have any challenges. It's like, well, you're in a state of comatose, or what happened to you?
Yeah, I never believe them when they say that. In my head, I'm categorizing them as a liar, which is, sounds negative. But if they're lying, I don't want to work with them, right? Yeah,
because it's like, in the life we're living, we always face with challenges, with deceits, with hurt, with pain, with sadness. And you cannot just show up and just say, well, my life is so beautiful. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful movie. Okay, well, that's good. Hollywood passed by here, but that's not the reality of most of us people here.
And even in movies, there has to be conflict and drama, or else there's no character arc or plot point. I won't get into literary things, but there are character arc-less characters. Like Leslie Knope is one, Paddington the Bear is one, but everyone around them changes, so there's still that dynamic element. But sorry.
No, that's okay. So can you give me the definition for you of failure? Because that makes me, the words make me cringe when you say failure. But I'm like, oh boy. You need to give us an explanation, because for people who likes to keep their spirit, lighter and good energy, it's like failure. Okay, give me the definition of what you're saying for you is a failure.
So because I'm a recovering perfectionist, like I said, failure to me means that the expectations I have were not met exactly. So anything that changes, my brain is like, panic, stop doing what you're doing. Like, you have to get this one exact outcome. And the creative part of my brain is like, shut up. Like, it's okay if things turn out different, and you're probably going to learn so much more from that. And I know that a lot of people define failure as you don't make it to the place where you want. But for me, it's not that. It's even more extreme, to where it has to be, like I have a mental plan. There's like little ducks in a row. And that leads me to one of the things on my list is I'm writing an entire musical album, which I told you about on my show.
Oh, yeah.
There's a song called Ducks in a Row, and it's about my perfectionism and how that derails me, and how it makes it so I can't rest, right? Like, ducks don't stress out. They're so adorable and amazing. And when they go to sleep, they're just asleep. Like, they can relax. I am the worst at relaxing. It drives my husband mad. Like, he's so supportive and amazing, but he'll be like, why are you on your phone right now? Just go. And I'll go put it in another room, because that's how my clients reach me. Right. I want to be available for them, but I have to have that boundary. And it's a continuous thing in my life that I'm trying to have better balance. And that means I have to be willing for my plans to derail.
Yeah, now we understand better, because you are basically, what you're doing in one way, for me, I'm translating this, is that
yes, please.
If you're, let's say you have a goal, instead then letting the magic of the universe move you along that goal, and maybe the goal's going to change, because that happens and that's normal. Right. You try to micromanage every single step. You want to know what time, when, where, how, and you follow a plan that, like you said, if you move one step on the right side, it's the end of the world. Armageddon is coming. It's not good. So there is a controlling side of you that needs to let it go, release your claws. You're going to release the table. Everything's going to be fine. So I understand better the word failure, because for me, the word failure is not allowing ourselves to have a setback. And it's like in life, we always have setback. Okay. Sorry, Lulu wants to jump here. No, he's not. It's like he's trying to grab me. I'm like, okay, sorry. So this is what happened when you have a little puppy here at home. When the older one are at the daycare.
Yes.
But they're going tomorrow. 3 of them, by the way. They're going to be having fun. Yes. And I'm sending him over there to go and harass Mac, the older one. So, but at the level of failure, when people talk about failure, for me, it's like a blockage. Like if somebody said, I failed, they're like, okay, I'm failing down. I'm failing at what I'm doing. So I'm going to give up. Right. And most people, this is what that stopped me in our conversation. I sound like, oh boy, I don't like that. Red flag. And I'm like, yes, failure. Yes. For me, a failure is a step back. And for a lot of people, it's humiliation. It's not working. I give up. It's like, don't give up. Just stand up and look where you are and make the appropriate changes. In your world, it's totally entirely.
Yes. Well, for me, I celebrate failure the way I think about it. And I always clarify what I mean by failure, because people are like, why would you use that word?
Yes.
But for me, it's a useful term, and that's why I'm comfortable saying it. That's why I celebrate it, because being willing to fail has done nothing but amazing things in my life.
Yes.
But the difficulty for me, and I see it in my kids, I see myself in my kids this way, is that they sometimes won't even try anything because they're afraid they won't immediately get it. I'm like, that is so unreasonable. Where did you get that quality from, I wonder?
That's from your dad. I know it's from your dad, not me.
So I see how destructive it is in their lives. And, over the last, 5-10 years, whatever, I'm just like, I am not going to behave that way anymore, because I want to show them that I am comfortable trying and not succeeding, if that's better language for you.
Yeah.
But also for myself, because how am I going to grow if I have such unrealistic expectations for what my brain or my body can do without any practice?
Yeah, because you're kind of limiting yourself, basically. That's what the most horrifying part of it is. Like, you get such a great creative mind. It's like you're blocking yourself, feel like out of fear of, like you said, out of fear of not being able to do it. There is a fear to stop you, where if you can kick that fear out of it, my God, the sky is the limit. This is like the fight within yourself. It's like, my God, you must argue with yourself every single day.
And that's why I was like, I just need a list for this year, because I'm going to attempt a lot of scary things.
Yeah.
I keep calling it my year of failure, which people get so upset about, but it's the first time in my life I've given myself permission to be bad at so many things at the same time. And it's creating the most accelerated personal growth I've seen in my life.
Exactly. You know, where we always said failure is where you grow the most, and it's where you, through the challenge and tribulation, through failure, through setback, this is where that diamond shine. This is where you're peeling the layer of all of your spirit and just get where you need to be. So for me, hearing, and that's what I wanted to talk about it, to me, it's inspiring. I like the word failure now. I'm comfortable with the word failure because, as I said, we have a perception of the word failure as it's a bad thing. I'm like, no, it's not. Failure are not, for me, are not the end. It's just the beginning.
Right. And you can't start unless you're willing to accept that you might not get things exactly the way you want when you want them.
Absolutely. And that's okay. Because things change for a reason. Maybe the things you want, and I use a lot when I talk, is the groceries list, aka the vision board. When you put something for the year on your vision board or on your groceries list, you can start at the beginning, but that doesn't mean you're going to reach that goal. Maybe you're going to be close to it, but you're going to realize there's going to be a U-turn or a turn somewhere that's going to take you to a better space, to something even better. And that's giving ourselves the opportunity to let creativity, to let perfect synchronicity, the universe in and work its magic. You're not by yourself. You can do it by yourself and spend your time on sweating bullets to get it done, or invite the magic into your life and let it flow. Learn to let it flow, let it go.
Well, and my husband, you know, he's a truck driver, so he has lots of time in the truck and delivering, and he listens to a ton of podcasts. And I wrote this list. I've been doing this. At first, he didn't know what to think about it. And then he came home the other day. He listens to your podcast, by the way. I should add that.
Oh, boy. What
he loves to say. You. No, he's like, Emma is amazing. He really loves your show. So, you know, shameless self-promotion for Emma's show. If you're listening to this episode, you should listen to all the episodes.
But, you know what? Last week, somebody, I have over 700 plus episodes. Somebody in one day, in one area, because I like to look once in a while at the stats, downloaded 301 episodes. I'm like, holy crap. I don't know how long it took them to do it.
It's because it's good. That's why.
I have no idea. It's amazing. I'm still amazed by that. I have no idea. I'm not a kid. So go ahead. Never mind.
No, it's fine. So he was listening to a podcast and he said, do you know people who invent amazing things? One of the qualities they share is they're willing to stop a task the minute it stops working for them. Like they have no problem switching from one project to a totally different project because they were inspired. The process of creating is not linear to them. And he's like, you know, I'm just telling you this. And I can tell him because I used to be the kind of person that's like, I started this book, I'm going to finish it, even though it's horrible. And I've definitely seen 30 mistakes and the plot is totally unbelievable. And I'm not that way anymore, but I'm sure I could give myself permission to be even more willing to drop things when they stop serving me.
I totally agree with that, because when you do this, you're inviting new things in your life. And I've learned this year, you know, it's interesting you say that, actually. Nice message from the universe through you on this one, is that I have done projects at the beginning of the year that actually was a fluff of whatever it was. But I realized a couple months down the road, okay, where I'm at with this, is it moving, is it not moving, and talking around and realizing that even the dearest things for me, and I will still say it without crying actually, because I'm not going to cry about it, is I had a big one that was close to my heart because it was something I wanted to do since a child. And I just let it go because it was going nowhere.
Yeah.
And I let go of a bunch of them because it's like, okay, it was interesting because I learned a bunch of stuff, but it wasn't meant to go through fruition because it was going nowhere. You could take the road and waste your time, or you can regroup, refocus, go back to basics and said, okay, this is not working. What else do I got right here in front of me? And move forward.
And I think that naturally makes you more successful to be willing to do that. Yeah. But it feels so scary if you're not used to it. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are hesitant to make that change.
Well, it depends, okay? Because there is two sides to it. One, you can be challenged to, and especially in life lessons, are you capable to go through your life lessons, or are you going to step back? But the problem is when you learn your life lessons, if you have not learned it, it's coming back in a different form, different people, different situations, same story. Yes. So do you get this one right there? And you get the one where you have to make the decision that is not worth it. So yes. There is two avenues, and that's why I think people are afraid. For me, I look at life lessons. What did I learn from here? Is it serving my purpose, or is there something I need to learn? And on those projects, and I stopped actually, even the last one, a few one, I watched them actually. I was like, oh, sure, I will do it. I'm like, I don't think so, because that's not going to go there, and everything failed. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm done. I'm not interested. But it's looking at it and said, when I was younger, you should continue, like you said about the book. I read a book and it was the most boring book ever. And they even turned it into a movie, which is like, I will not watch the movie, but I forced myself to read the book. It was the shipping, whatever it was on the East Coast. Nothing happened, actually. It was boring, totally boring from beginning to end. Yeah. But I forced myself to read the entire thing. I'm not going to give up on this. I'm like, I have to read it. I don't know why, but I'm going to force myself to read it because I don't want to become, like you said, the people. See, you get different kind of people. The people who see the first challenge or the first things happening and they're going to give up. And you get the people who go through. So this is why, like, it's a very fine line to recognize. Is it a challenge for me to overcome? Or is it something, like I said earlier, is it something that's going to waste your time? But you have to learn the distinction. But yeah. I love that from your husband. Maybe we should have a meeting with him and see what else is listening that we can learn, because that is good.
I know. He's a serial learner too. So we have a lot of fun. Every night, before we go to bed, it's just like a download from each other and an upload.
Nice.
It's really fun. And, it's like Malcolm Gladwell talks about how you store information in another person.
Yes.
We learn twice as much because we each only have so many hours and we digest all the information and then we tell each other the most important parts.
Exactly. Like you needed to hear that. You got the message from him, through him to what you needed as information, and it gave him exactly the same thing, which is awesome. That's exactly how it should work. But I like the idea of learning to, okay, this is not working for me. Is it for my highest good? What is the purpose of it? Yes, it may be a dear dream. For me, and I will always remember when it happened, I was like, this is a childhood dream. I'm like, dang, I have to let it go. It's not going anywhere. Just let it go. But he was like, oh, really, universe? That is not pleasant. Seriously? But it's like making that distinction. Am I going anywhere with that? No. Running around the circle for nothing? No. Nothing would have come out of it. So there were no point. But it was interesting to experiment. So for me, like you said, it's like there's a lot of things you learn to fail, quote unquote. But it's very interesting to say, I walk away from it. Not worth it. Walking away.
Yeah, or just it's on pause. And you don't have that feeling that I have to unpause it unless you get that sense that it's time to do it. It's so counterintuitive to the way I work as a person to do those things.
I can see that. You must be I wish to be in your head for a minute to see the battle between creativity and no, this is what we do here, people. This is how we go. We are not deviating from the plan. Here's the roadmap. Yeah. So that's challenging.
I have to let those two things battle out for my job. Honestly, like if I look at it, right? Because writing is all about frameworks, but there are times when you have to break away from the framework to get the end result you want, or just too good of a story comes and you're like, I'll just bust open this framework because the story is worth it. But I actually had the most difficult conversation with my co-author, I think 2 weeks ago, because I realized that the book that we spent last December writing and having edited was not the book that we needed for our business. And we had poured so many hours into it. Like, I can't even tell you how much time we put, not just into the book, but all the support pieces around it, the upsells after it, the whole system, right? And as I'm getting ready to start running ads, that's when the Facebook ads exploded and they kicked off a bunch of ad managers, and it gave me a chance though to realize I don't want to work with people who think they can learn to write their own book, because that's what our book teaches you to do. I want to work with people who realize they don't have the time to do it and they want to pay me to do it.
Me, because even if I read your book, I will not write a book. I will read the book about how to write a book.
And it's just, it's too different. Like, this thing over here is too different from what I want. Yep. And so I was like, it's not the right book for us, for what we want. And she's like, I felt it before you said anything. Yeah. And she already knew. So it was, we agreed, we're moving forward. I'm writing a different book right now.
Put it on the shelf.
Your power.
Maybe later on when you're about to retire, you can have this one out, but put it on a shelf and get the right one for what you want to do. I love it. But you're right ahead. I would not be surprised in 30, 40 years you pull it out and just said, okay, let's revise this one and send it out.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still out there. And for people who are like, I don't want to pay you to write the book, I feel like I want to write it myself, I can just guide them to it, right? There's like I think it's $7 sale, and I built all these things around it. Like, there's a class, there's worksheets. Like, I went nuts, as I normally do. And but that, like, I can help them, I can be of service to someone who wants to learn to do it, but that's not the person who I want to work with long term, because they just want too many changes. They'll strip out all the formatting every time. It's like in chapter one is so vital, and I have a proven method. And then I get it back from them, from these people who think that they want to write their own book. And the whole page is hot pink, because here's a tip for you. If you're editing, don't use red, because red signals to your brain that you've made a mistake and not that you just need to make an adjustment. So I always use hot pink or green or blue, anything other than red.
Yep.
But if I'm working, right, I'm an expert at what I do. I'm not good at a lot of things. I know how to write chapter 1. I can write chapter 1 in my sleep, and I get it back and it's all hot pink. That's not fun for me. That feels awful. And they've wasted my time and their time.
That's what I said. I'd rather you write it. Let's make it easier. Well, talking to you, and then you're writing it. So you don't have to have that headache. You don't have the other person. Becoming an author is one thing, but I would rather, as I said to you, and I said it on several podcasts as well, I'm going to partner with you to do what I need to have it down than trying to do it myself. I don't have the time, but I don't even want to do it. This is not something I want to do.
That's why I need to write a book that would target you. If I'm going to use a book as a magnet lead or lead magnet, someone told me I'm saying it wrong. I don't know. I feel like it's interchangeable, but I don't need to give you a book that teaches you how to write a book. That doesn't make any sense.
No. It would be interesting for me to read.
Know that.
It will interest me because I like to learn. So it will interest me at the level of learning how to. But would I put it in practice? No, because I'm not planning on doing it, because I know who's going to do it. Without telling anybody, but Kristin will. But no, I'm not doing it. I'm honest. I know where my limitations are. Plus, I will have somebody to correct all my typos and everything else, and I do. So no, and me flipping words from European to English. So forget it. So that's another thing. But I'm not interested to do it. I rather tell the story and somebody else has put it on paper for me, because they can interpret this even better than I do. So, that would be me. But some people want to take the challenge, and not everybody has that gift to be able to do it. or even follow the instruction. It's not even able to do it. It's, can you follow the instruction?
Right. Or even if you can follow it, have you spent 10, 15, 20 years working on this so you sound like yourself? It's so interesting because I'll write for people and they're like, oh, this sounds like me, even more than my own stuff. And I'm like, because I've been doing this so long, your superhero is this thing. It's not writing, right? And I know we've talked about that before.
No, I totally agree with you. This is why I like our conversation. It's like, yes, understanding our limitation. And if you have somebody else who's capable to do that, why would you bother? Seriously.
Right. Like, I pay lots of people to do different things that I'm not good at. But also, I feel like we have to be willing, right? Like, to look at our offer, especially as a business, and to say, this thing that I put so much time and money into is the wrong thing, and I'm going to let it go.
Yep. And that is the hardest part to do. It's realizing that things come to an end. You get a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an end. And that end comes, so it leaves room to something even better, to the next level. And a lot of people are not understanding this. They think like, I take that metaphor of, I got a house, I brought a brand new one, so I'm going to move my stuff. Do I take the garbage with me into my new house or not?
Right.
Question. Most people will say no. Some people will say, yeah, sure, no problem. Just dump it on the front yard. But it's like, some do. Okay.
I believe. Yeah, no, it's true.
But, at the end of the day, think about it. You're starting fresh. So you're only going to take what you need. The rest going to stay and going to be dispersed wherever it's going to be dispersed. It's the same thing with what we're capable to do. And for me, learning to write a book, okay, that could be interesting. But am I going to really do it? No, I'm not. To be honest, I would be hypocritical. It would be hypocritical of me to say, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to do it. No, I know my limitation. And I'm not interested. I wrote my blogs. I do my podcasts. I'm good. I wrote maybe a chapter for a book. I did it a few times, collaborated on books. But am I going to read it for one? No, I'm not. I'm not interested to do that because I already have somebody I already picked. So why would I bother, Kristin? Just saying. So, but that's fantastic. So what's happening with your podcast? Who's coming next? Because I saw something this morning. Somebody else says you're going to be interviewing.
Oh, I have 2 more people tomorrow. So I'm like stacking it. I am not taking your advice. I'm sure I will take your advice because it's a lot to interview 2. I think I'm interviewing 6 people total this week. That's a lot of interviews.
I've done that and I scaled down because it's like you need your brain. At the end of the day, it's that when you interview people, there is so much energy you put into it that is draining you. So you need that energy. So right now, go for it, do it. But there's going to be a point of time it's going to say, yeah, you need to scale back. So I rather scale back. For me, it's like I rather do that and then over and over and over, because otherwise I love to do it, but it takes a lot of energy to do it.
It does, and it's time setting up. So I'm learning, I'm making lots of mistakes and having a blast. And so tomorrow I'm interviewing Frank Agin. That's right. I have everyone fill out how to pronounce their name so I get it just right, because you don't know. You can't just look at it and be like, but he's a networking expert. He's coming on tomorrow and he is a delightful human. And he's also a fiction writer as a hobby. So it's going to be
nice. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a blast. So I'm going to be watching this one. I'm watching everything. So I'm stuck. Awesome. So who's the next person? Because you said you got 2 person.
Oh, I also have someone. I don't remember how to pronounce her last name right now. I feel like I'm going to ruin it.
First name. What's her first name?
So Connie Inuke, and she trademarked the word grandmapreneur.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I'm curious to know.
Amazing. I cannot wait. And she has a new book coming out that we're going to talk about. And my mom is like, I am going to listen to this because I help people create offers. And my mom would be an amazing CRM consultant because that's what she did her whole career. And I was like, do you know how many people use CRMs right now? So she's going to tune in. I'm really excited about it because Connie is a pure delight.
Nice. Oh, that's so exciting. So that's super duper. So, but listen to Kristin. Seriously, her show is phenomenal. And the other one too, when you're writing your book as well, because it's amazing to see the creative side of it. You know, you need to be bold because a lot of people will never share what you're doing, you know, afraid somebody's going to steal it. Here's the deal. And I learned that way a long time ago. People that do this or master their craft, it seems very easy for everybody when you watch it, say, oh, so easy. But then you try to step into their footsteps, it's like, holy crap, it is not as easy than it looks like. And for me, sharing how your processes, what are your thoughts, it's amazing because it really show what it takes and inspired others. They may be not going to be author, but at least learning how the process works, seeing it in action. So people have a more realistic view of what it takes to be a writer.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, and I love when people come on and ask me questions. It's been so much fun. I just was like, I'll just try this. It was one of those things that I'm like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been so beneficial for me. And I'm meeting all sorts of new people through it as well, which is fun.
Yeah, no, it's rewarding. And as I said, I love that because it really shows the creativity and how you go about it. To me, is amazing. It's a great legacy and a great way to record it as well. And keep this in the archive. Then in 500 years from here, if the earth is still booming and good, they'll say, oh, let's go see what Kristin Spencer did that day. Oh, she did this. Oh, okay. It is good information. I love the creative part of it. I love the creativity and the sharing. For me, it's amazing. So again, for inspiring writers who want to become writers, then follow Kristin because she's on a lot on LinkedIn. You cannot miss her. If you do, there is a problem with your people, but she's visible. She's there. She posts every day. She's always doing something on LinkedIn. But watch her videos because they are so educational and it's a great insight in this world of magic, which is writing, ghostwriting. Because to me, I've always been fascinated by ghostwriters. So it's like, yeah, now I can stock one.
Well, thank you, Emma, for having me on. I really appreciate our conversations are always so refreshing to me. I love it.
Oh, we're never bored here with me. And, you know, you always say a very interesting thing. I said, I wanted to know about failure. I wanted to know about the top 10. And I think it's really going to change the perception because your mission as well is to change the perception of the word failure, which unfortunately has a very bad stigma and can really change somebody else as a kid actually view of their lives and change the course of their lives because when they hear the word failure, then it will, you know, it's putting them down instead than inspiring them. So for me, I'm very happy we had that conversation. And don't worry, guys, it's not the last time you're going to hear Kristin because she's coming back next month. We're going to do episode way before Thanksgiving and way before Christmas because I want to know what is her Christmas list too. So we probably will be talking about it in December or earlier in December, maybe in next month. Hey, it's November. It's a holy moly, 2 months.
I know
the year end. Oh, unbelievable! But I will ask you the Christmas stuff next month. I want to know more and Thanksgiving and Christmas. And for Christmas, then we'll be talking about New Year's Eve, New Year's, and what you got in mind for that as well. So that should be fun, guys. And please watch Kristin on LinkedIn. I will put all of her information as well. You can connect with her. As I said, she's an amazing woman and she has a ton of books you can purchase as well. She wrote over 30 plus books and works with different authors as well as a ghostwriter. So you will never know which one she wrote, but just to let you know, she is an amazing person and I love her dearly. So my friend, I will harass you via LinkedIn and we'll see you next month.
All right. Sounds good. And the love is mutual for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good Lord. If people don't realize that, I don't know what else. So all my love, my friend, I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.